Hi guys, this is awkward. It's real awkward. I broke my farm. As you might remember, in the last episode, we built ourselves a beautiful, brand new, colorful slime farm. And then, like I promised, in between episodes, I AFK'd for a long time. But at the same time, like, maybe not that long. I don't know, it couldn't have been more than like 10 Minecraft days. Didn't keep track though. But anyways, over here at the farm, okay. Over here at the farm. Yes, I see. Module number 3 of our beautiful farm. Oh, that's getting full. And then finally, model number 4 of this farm. Oh, whoops. What's that? Oh, I accidentally overfilled the farm. Yeah, that's right. And you might be thinking it's not that bad. Well, this is actually after I already came down and emptied the farm all the way. All of that right there. And did you notice this too? That's right. These are the first slime blocks that I've ever made in this world. And so, it is for all of those reasons that this farm, the beautiful slime farm that is so easy to build, is farm number 1 on our list today. That's right, everybody. It's list week still. So if you caught some of the other videos from earlier on this week, you kind of know what list week is. List week is a week of the year where I post more list style videos than ever, but it gets even bigger and bolder. This year, list week involves the series too. Over the course of our wonderful survival series, we built a lot of farms in this world. Some farms are really good, and some are kind of like, you could pass on them. So today, I thought it would be useful to you, my dear friends, to make a video going over 10 of the best farms in this world. Just like this beautiful, colorful slime farm, the other 9 farms we're going to take a look at in today's video are definitely farms that are worth building in your world too. Leave a like if you like episodes like this, subscribe for more, and let's do this. The slime farm is beautiful, but to check out most of the farms, we need to get back over to our base today. I'll meet you at home sweet home. Back over at home sweet home, let's reminisce a bit. When we started this world over a year ago, I set a bold goal. That goal was to farm everything. Farm everything is ambitious. We haven't quite farmed everything yet, but we farmed a lot. I have so many different farms. The farms that we'll be taking a look at today are definitely in no particular order. All of these farms, each and every one of them, is a good farm. Farm number 2, the second one we're going to take a look at, is found right over here, inside of one of my favorite builds of this entire world. It's gotta be, easily, the folio. Oh, I forgot to fix that. That's right. I highly recommend, for multiple wonderful reasons, building some kind of automatic wool farm inside of your survival world. And maybe even, like, build it early too. And one of my favorite Minecraft updates of all time, or like pieces of an update, it has to be when dispensers gained the functionality of shearing sheep. It was game changing. I feel like with an automatic wool farm, it's one of those things that I almost don't even have to explain why this thing is so good to have. But let me just say, free blocks. And free blocks automatically and easily too. Even better, if you're playing on Java Bedrock, building one of these automatic sheep farms is so easy. Like, it's the same design, no matter what platform you're building it on. In my model here, I've got one wing with 8 sheep and another wing that we were just in with 8 more sheep. As you might remember, a little bit more recently, we came back in and hooked this thing up to a wool auto sorter. Now, an auto sorter like that, it's definitely entirely optional, but it is making my life like way easier when it comes to actually like, organizing things and not overflowing my chest, because this farm is so simple, but as long as you keep iron inside of it, it'll run forever. And like I said, free blocks. The use for those blocks is totally up to you. Maybe you use it to build colorful builds like I did over there, or maybe kind of like I did over here up in the sky behind the bees. Or of course, you can take that wool, craft it into the beds, and then swing over to the nether, which is our next stop. So, friends, the nether in this world is notoriously empty, but you will maybe be proud to know that finally, at long last, like after I don't know, 8 months, this farm is fixed. That weird dirt thing on the side, it's no longer here. This farm, not only is it fixed, but it's also easily one of the best, or maybe the best, hostile mob farm that I have in this entire world. This farm is a super simple double blaze farm. On one side of this farm, I've got a blaze spawner. On the other side of this farm, like right there behind that wall actually, I have another blaze spawner. This farm utilizes a couple strategically placed lava sources and really nothing else. The lava currents here do the job of funneling all of the blaze down to the middle. Now, there are absolutely ways you could funnel these blazes over to the middle here and maybe like take their health down a little bit, but I didn't really worry about it for this farm. For this farm, because I have mending on all of my tools, it doesn't matter. All I need to do is really just come over here and take the blaze out. Now, because I have a double blaze spawner, standing down here unfortunately doesn't activate both of them. To get around that small problem, I set up a small AFK platform right here. When I AFK up here, right by this door, both blaze spawners are active and will slowly fill up the area down below. The amount of experience per mod that these things drop is off the charts, and for healing up all of my tools, for example the shovel after last episode's big project, it's a no-brainer. Also, that's not to mention the blaze rod. Let me tell you about blaze rod from this farm. In other words, amazing fuel, one of the best fuels in the entire game, and yeah, all while you're just fixing up your tools. One spawner, two spawners, or maybe if you're even luckier, more spawners. No matter what, a blaze farm is going to be one of your best easy mob farms. Now, in the nether, I sincerely would have loved to put a gold farm next up on this list, but I still haven't done much in the nether. I guess we should come back and do more here, huh? Next up, overworld side, I've got a contentious one for you. So it's a long history, a love-hate relationship between me and Sweet PP Temple. Pure Profit Temple, a farm that is so good that actually ended up like almost messing up my world severely to the point that I couldn't even play in it. It was bad. PP Temple, the villagers. So I have actually since banned the villagers from doing anything else, but this is my villager breeder. I highly recommend building a villager breeder in your world early on and just let it run, but but don't let it run until you have like 500 villagers. Maybe, you know, cap it at like 100 villagers or something. I built this farm like really early on in the world, shortly after 1.18 release when we started the world. It's so simple. 3 beds back there, couple villagers and a composter, and that's literally it. They will look at each other, get a little bit romantic, a little bit frisky, and then pop out a baby. Then the baby will walk over there and fall down. There's an empty hole. I don't want to open it up because I can't risk it, guys. I can't go through it again. If you're out of the loop, I recommend checking out the Corrupted episode, but down below, this is what we're looking at now. So the baby villagers drop down into this thing from that spot right there, and then they just live here and wait here. Anytime any villagers for like mending, for like other farms that we're going to talk about next, I've got it. All I need to do is come over here and grab 1, 2, 3, 4, or however many of these guys that I need. After a long time, I dealt with a villager problem relatively recently. Right after I dealt with the problem, I built this brand new beauty. Farm number 5 today is this bone meal machine. And when I say machine, I mean like high powered, super duty machine. So depending on how you like to play the game, this next one, it might be like a little bit more of a niche farm. If you're not really into terraforming, decorating your world, and you know, using bone meal for things like giant oak trees, then maybe it's not as useful to you, but I do highly recommend this farm. This farm utilizes some pretty interesting villager mechanics where essentially the farmers will collect the profits, then go over to the middle and try and share with this villager that I've trapped there. It'll happen 4 times all at once. The villagers inside of this farm essentially try and share with the middle one, and when they do that, they end up throwing all of the crops into cleverly placed hoppers that I put over there. Underneath the farm, I've got a line of cleverly placed hoppers that start at the villager and go all the way over to a composter. It's inside of the planks. Crops plus composter plus hoppers equals easy automatic bone meal. Easy automatic bone meal for literally free at this point, like just existing in the world, that I could take that bone meal over to like say over here and maybe like try and bone meal gigantic tall oak tree. It's a no-brainer. I love this farm. In my opinion, to make a build really truly come to life, you've got to do the terraforming around him, and that's why I love this farm so much. I mean, look at this area over here. As I'm starting to fill it in with trees and, of course, plants, grass, flowers all over the ground, it really starts to come to life. If you have a world and you want to make it feel cozy and good and, like, alive, a bone meal machine so you can grow infinite plants all over your world, it's a must. Now, to check out our next farm, we actually kind of have to leave the base a little bit. Inside of this world, I've got a couple farms that aren't right over at the base. One of those was the slime farm. We checked it out in the beginning. We've got the nether farm, which, I mean, it is the base, but it's also not. And then finally, we've got this farm right down in here. Now, in terms of, I guess, usefulness, maybe not exactly the most useful farm in the world. But in terms of coolness, oh, this is it. Look at this thing. It's horrendous, but at the same time, it's bad, it's evil. Easily the most dangerous thing in the entire game. Added in 1.19. With the help of this shrieker and this very simple little farm that I threw together right after 1.19 dropped. Oh, it's evil. build this farm in your world and automatically, very, very easily set this up in your world. And Minecraft's most dangerous. No, it's no longer very dangerous at all. Now I'm actually just realizing I forgot to start the noise machine. But it doesn't even matter. This farm is so nice that even if you mess it up a little bit, it will just work. Oh, it's beautiful. This very beautiful, then very, very simple farm is a simple Warden dropper. Basically, the Warden moves up, the Warden moves over, the Warden moves down. This will repeat like, I think 5 or so times, and eventually we'll take the Warden out entirely with like this whole drop-it mechanic. Before the Minecraft 1.19.1 Skull Catalyst nerf, this was actually insane for getting experience. You would get Skull Catalyst every single time, you place it down, you break it, you get a lot of experience, but nowadays, nowadays it's just cool. If you are gonna build this though, and maybe add a way to kick it back into high gear, if it does ever stop. Funny story, when I started this world, I made a rule. See, I've been using cow crushers for food for like the longest time, so I completely banned them. They're not ethical. Typically, a cow crusher would definitely be inside of the list, but doesn't exist in this world. Instead of beef, I ended up setting this automatic potato machine up, or APM for short, early on in the world, and I really didn't plan on using the food for like that long, but here I am, episode number 75, almost day 1,500, and baked potatoes. Baked potatoes are where it's at. I really didn't plan on eating only baked potatoes for so long, but like, this farm has consistently produced for like the longest time, so it's never really been a problem. Inside of this farm, these farmers will walk around and harvest the crops just like they do inside of the villager breeder and the bone meal machine that's over there, and then eventually they'll try and share the crops with their friend. Instead of sharing with their friend, the hopper grabs them from down below, and I end up on the other side of the farm with tons and tons of potatoes. This is a great solution for food early to mid-game, and I guess even late game too, and potentially a great way to make emeralds inside of your world. Consider it. I also actually for the longest time used the potatoes from this farm for bone meal too, so I guess there's another bonus. When it comes to farms that are really, really good, like so overpowered for multiple updates now, I may be biased, but my beautiful iron farm, the one that I designed and came up with, oh, I love this thing. It's so nice. It's also insanely easy to build. Built this thing really early on with the help of a couple villagers from a village. In fact, I haven't seen it in forever. I think the village should be like right over here. Yeah, there it is, the dump. The dump is right over there. I took a couple villagers from that village, put them up here, put them next to a zombie, and they run around, panic constantly, and produce iron for me. Or at least they should. So last episode I said there was a problem with the iron farm. Kind of been hinting at it for a while, but building it so high up in your world is a terrible idea. At first in this world, see, I thought I was going to build all over the mountain, all around it, or maybe on that side or whatever, but I thought this thing would be loaded in more, and it's a really good farm. You're definitely putting it on this list here today. Like, build this thing in your world, but if you build it more down low, like in the middle of the action, instead of like up here. It seems that building this iron farm up high, like definitely above 100 inside of your world post 1.18, it's actually a terrible idea. It just doesn't seem to produce. But if you were to build this iron farm, or even a couple tiles of it, maybe down front and center in the action, then this thing will give you more iron than you will ever need. Do I recommend building every single farm that we've talked about in this video so far in your world? Well, yes, of course, that's the point of the video after all. Build these farms. It'll transform your world. Do I recommend building the next farm inside of your world? Well, for multiple reasons. Let me put it this way. No, and no. But I felt obligated to add this to the list because, at one point, this was the world record-holding beetroot farm. The world's biggest beetroot farm. Like I said, at one point, you're looking at it right here. This is over 200 by 200 blocks. It's huge. It's gigantic. It's still, to this very day, trying to grow in at the very end of the thing. I never loaded in. But, it's cool. Like, look at this thing. It's beautiful. Just standing here and looking at the beat. A more peaceful, perfect vibe. You cannot get it. You will not be able to find it anywhere. A gigantic farm. I actually literally lost brain cells and went crazy building this farm. It was such a big grind, insane. But for the record, for the time, the nostalgia, the aesthetics, oh, it's beautiful. It was so worth it. Okay, I want to come back in here and add a point because I completely missed it, but building a big farm like this in your world, maybe out of something more useful like wheat, not only does it look really, really cool, but it gives you time in your world. I find the more time I spend in a world, the more I actually fall in love with it, and therefore the less likely I am to just like quit next week and restart, make a new world. Big projects like my big beet farm expand your world big time and look pretty good too. That brings us to farm number 10, this next farm. And this next farm is maybe, honestly, in my opinion, the very best farm in this entire world. The creeper farm, this beauty in the sky. If you haven't noticed, throughout the whole episode, obviously I've been flying around quite a bit because of this green beauty. A very, very simple farm too at that. I can fly whenever I want, wherever I want. The mechanics behind this farm are so simple. Essentially, it's dark platforms with water. That's it. There's like no red zone involved other than a couple hoppers at the end. It's really, really simple. All I need to do, because it's built so high up in the air, amazing view of the base, by the way, which definitely adds to it. But anyways, all I need to do is come up here, stand, and wait. Eventually, creepers will spawn. They'll be moved into this water area and eventually drop down for me. I stand down here and take them out really, really easily. I'll get experience, which is beautiful, but also in gunpowder. This thing is so simple to build too. You can build this within like, maybe not your first day, but like your first week or so inside of your world, if you stay focused. A beautiful vantage point, a great view of everything in the world. Check. Gunpowder, automatically, for free. Check. And even, as a small bonus, if you need to heal up tools, experience sometimes too. That's a definite check as well. Of course, it would start raining right at the very end of the episode, but I mean, you get the point. The creeper farm, it's a beauty. It's great, and wait a second. I think I forgot to open some of the platforms. Huh? Anyways, some of the best farms that I've built in my 1,500 day world, there you go. Build those 10 farms in your world, and you'll be set forever. And thank you all so much for watching this episode. I know it's a little bit different than the normal survival episode, but let me know what you think about it down below. Fire Dragon 19, Kira and Maeve, Infamous MC, and Michael H, my patrons. Big thank you. Happy holidays, and until next time, my friends, Minecraft Survival. Goodbye.